The hottest city in America, hottest big city in America is Phoenix, Arizona, and it's getting hotter. Last year, Phoenix had 145 days over 100 degrees. In some places in the desert, it was 110, 122, not too far. I mean, that's nuts. That's crazy temperatures. Phoenix, the city, has a heat island effect going, which makes the city 10 to 15 degrees warmer than rural areas. And it's been getting worse in recent years. Mayor Kate Gallego, she has her hands full, and she's very dedicated to this, and she's fascinating. She's 39 years old. She majored in environmental studies. She grew up with asthma, so she was relating directly to her ability to breathe the air that we should be taking for granted. Now, we featured the mayor and Planet Forward, as I mentioned, in this terrific new media partnership that we're also pursuing with WNET, public television in New York, and their Peril and Promise series. It's their digital portal focused on climate change. The mayor is trying to make Phoenix a heat-ready city. Take a look. How has heat in Phoenix changed over recent years?
We keep setting new records related to heat. We are seeing an increase in the number of days above 100. We are seeing higher temperatures and more health impacts. So it's something that we think about frequently, particularly in long-term planning for areas such as our water supply.
You've said that you want Phoenix to be the first heat-ready city. What's a heat-ready city?
We are trying to develop a model and a toolkit for how cities can respond to heat. We want to make sure we're doing what we can to prepare, to communicate about it, and to mitigate these very serious impacts.
Well, there's some very specific things that you're doing, and I'd like to unpack those a little bit. So one of them, which is really interesting, is this cool pavement project that you're trying. That's pretty cool, but I don't think that's exactly what's intended in the name. What is it, and how much of a difference would it make?
We have seen significant increases in overnight temperatures. We're in an ecosystem that we refer to as the Sonoran Desert ecosystem, and we used to see much more significant declines in temperatures overnight, but pavement and man-made materials are really holding in that heat. We're now paving the city with cool pavement and then monitoring the impacts on our community, and we've seen a significant noticeable decline in the temperatures, particularly those critical overnight temperatures in the areas where we've applied the cool pavement.
My understanding is that the cool pavement now covers something like 45 miles of road in Phoenix, which is on the front end of this kind of experiment. What is it made out of? What does it look like? And how much of a temperature difference does it actually make?
So it's made with asphalt, water, an emulsifying agent that might be more familiar with some of the components of soap, some minerals. Our scientific partners tell us we may be able to see a reduction of 10 to 15 degrees, which will make it the most popular addition to a neighborhood in Phoenix.
On the issue of shade, planting trees, what are you doing? What difference would it make?
We are trying to tackle the issue of shade from multiple perspectives. We are looking at some of nature's oldest tools to improve shade, such as our tree planting campaign, as well as using modern technology, mapping, integrating shade into buildings and the built environment. We have a citywide goal to increase our shade canopy by more than 10%. We also have a neat database that we're using that really shows us and gives us the ability to track how we are doing. So it's a data-driven program. We have a walk shed mapping tool that we've developed in partnership with our university colleagues that looks at where people walk throughout our community and tries to help us plan where we might be able to invest in shaded corridors and really improve that commute to school or to the bus station.
What are you looking for when you're trying to build this tree canopy of shade?
We know that there's correlations between tree canopy and income in our community. That means that we have areas where we have higher rates of poverty and they're much less likely to have that lush green canopy. Those are also some of the areas where people are more likely to be using our transit system. So we're trying to put equity at the forefront and really put the canopy where it will make the biggest impact. We're also considering air quality impacts. We know that a good investment in trees can have a tangible impact on both that heat as well as improving local air quality. So we hope to make the city more comfortable for our residents. We have elected to prioritize areas around transit and areas with high level of pedestrian activity. That data-driven approach is incentivizing us and ensuring that we invest in the areas that need it most. It's giving us a result with a great equity lens. So in areas where we have a lot of individuals who have either one car for a large family or no automobiles, those are areas where we can get the biggest bang for our buck for investing in these shaded corridors. So we hope we're becoming a better city that has more equitable outcomes through these important investments.
A couple of other interesting things that you're doing as part of this heat readiness. One, investing in a big way in solar energy. I mean, you might as well put it to use, but there are ways to do that that also convey shade. I've walked under those. And a big push with your electric vehicles. What are you doing, and how do those help with heat readiness?
This is an exciting one for me. My first involvement with the city was as a volunteer on our Environmental Quality Commission, trying to develop a solar energy program for the city. It's now grown to the point where we're #1 in terms of US cities for solar installed on our city facilities. We're about to cut the ribbon on our 50th installation. We are doing it strategically, and one that I hope will become a national model is our partnership with our Public Housing Authority. We are putting solar shade canopies over parking at the Housing Authority. That creates more comfortable shaded areas, but it's also giving our residents a $15 credit on the bill. So they're sharing in the benefits of the electricity that is generated at their home community.
So you studied environmental science when you were a college student. When and how did you decide, I want to connect my studies to my work? And how did you make that happen?
So I grew up in the beautiful desert Southwest, and our open spaces have always inspired me. I also grew up with asthma, and when I was the super lame kid coughing by the track while everyone was out running, it gave you a lot of time to reflect on things like air quality. Working in the environmental field has always been very meaningful to me. You can have tangible results. You help both people and the ecosystems in which we exist. And so I've always loved it from both an intellectual challenge as well as personally meaningful. Helping people have access to clean air and water is so basic and so essential.
What then is your advice to students today who look at climate and look at sustainability and say to themselves, I need to do something about this? What should they look for or do to make that leap, as you did, from student to career where they can have impact?
I'd encourage you to be open to non-traditional career paths to having that impact. I have found some of the leaders who are the most effective communicators and most helpful in making policy come from all sorts of different backgrounds. We have people in the faith community who have really pushed us to do more on climate change. We have entrepreneurs who have enabled us to do more. We have both elected officials and city volunteer leaders who are making meaningful contributions to our climate action planning. So it doesn't have to be in the traditional career paths that are most associated with climate change. You can really make a difference from any career path. Having the knowledge and the motivation is what counts.
Many thanks to the mayor for her time and for what they're doing in Phoenix. And I want to do a special shout out here to our Pillar School partner, Arizona State University, and the Julianne Wrigley Global Futures Laboratory there, as well as the Cronkite School. They are working directly with the city of Phoenix. A lot of their research is being applied by the mayor and others. They're also working closely with us